Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Life is hard. Life is really good too, but life can be hard. It was really good because today I got to take my youngest daughter back up to university. She's a senior. She's going for 5 years with a double major, so she's not getting out yet. But second kid I brought up to college to UConn, so not my first rodeo. So that's great. Wonderful. We got to spend some time together. However, I'm going to vent a little bit in this video. Now, I've talked before about wanting to get a local group together, and it's been something I've, done little fits and starts here and there. A lot of it has to do with my schedule. Some of it just had to do with some inertia. But anyhow, I started putting out feelers again very recently. The group that I played with off and on, they kind of disintegrated. The game master's gotten really busy. Other people just kind of, nobody's actually went and put it back together again. And to be honest with you, even though there's a bunch of people there that I really like, there's only a few of them that I think would probably gel with the kind of game style I'm into. I want to do something with more role playing. I want to do something that's much more, if you watch my channel, much more simulationist. Let me boil it down really fast. I kind of came up with these little one-liners. But if you're going to play, to explain something like GNS theory, when you're playing a game and you're basing every decision on, would this make a better story? Well, that's really narrativism. That's a narrative approach. That's not necessarily what I'm after. Now, if you're basing your decisions on, like, would this benefit me as a player? Like, would this make my character cooler? Would I kick this bad guy's butt? At that point, you're playing a much more gamist manner. But if you're like me, you're making these decisions based on, like, if this was real, if this is a real world, a real situation, and I was really this guy, really this character, what would I do in this case? It might not be the most advantageous thing to me. It might not be best for a really cool story. But it's what he would do. It's what this group of people would do. It's the kind of relationship we really have. That's the kind of people I want to play with. People that are into that kind of experience. Now, that doesn't mean, well, I'll tell you what happens. Is as I've been going out and talking to various people, I went to a friendly local game store today. Right down the street. Nice guy. He's got some games that go on there. But generally, the first thing that happens, and nothing against these games, but there's going to be a lot of people that want to play the really popular games. They want to play Pathfinder. They want to play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Those are great games. They're not for me. But that's a giant market share. I'm sure people, not even market, but this is a niche hobby. Let's be honest. And within that niche hobby, there are little niches of people that prefer some stuff that might be a little bit more, I don't want to say esoteric, but maybe it's esoteric. I'm not sure. But not the mainstream. So the instant that I start talking about gaming, I'm going to talk about this version of D&D or that version of Pathfinder or whatever. That's cool, or maybe like Warhammer and a lot of miniatures game talk. So it takes a while to kind of talk to people and say, okay, well, I'm not really into that's not really what I'm looking for. And nothing against miniatures, they drive me crazy. I don't like that, but this would be a great miniature, don't you think? Yeah, great little miniature for a game. I'd play this character. But once I get past that kind of discussion, when I'm start to say things like, I'd like to do a little bit more role playing, what a lot of times I find people misinterpret that is I'm into like the serious narrativist LARPing. And I'm not that I'm equating narrativism with LARPing. Don't start throwing rocks at me. But I'm not into that experience either, where we're going to be acting and role playing and dressing up as our characters. That level of role playing, or that type of role playing. It takes a long time to explain to people. It's had a discussion with these guys today at the table, or around the table as they're waiting for their players to show up. The idea that I like to play with people that want to play their character, want to play the game like it's a real situation, their real character. What would you do in that case? And some guys are like, yeah, I get that. That's cool. They're involved in groups right now. I'm not going to yank them out of their group and say, hey, go play this one too. Just having exploratory conversations with people and saying, well, anybody like that? Talking to the game store owner. Hey, do you have any people you think might be into that, or etc. But at this point, I don't want to say I'm unsure to how to proceed, but I'm a little unsure how to proceed because I can make some kind of meetup. I can go on some sites, but at the end of the day, it's a little bit like dating. I don't want to throw together a group of people and just kind of find out, okay, who's working, who's not working. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I don't want to have those. I don't want that level of uncomfortability. I'd rather have a vetting process and have some conversations in the beginning. So now, I'm thinking I'm going to have to set up, start to meet people and really sit down and have coffee and start to talk about, like, hey, what really floats your boat as far as role playing. Do a little bit of almost like preliminary dating. So it's going to be a commitment in terms of time and in terms of probably going down a bunch of dead ends in order to get 3 or 4 people that might be on the same page with me. And I understand that it's essential to probably just say, hey, we're going to play game X. I'm going to have it on day Y. Can your schedule make it? And then maybe play some stuff and see whether people like it or not. Because there's a whole bunch of games I want to play too. Not just Lamentations of the Flame Princess, not just Hollow Earth Expedition, not just Broken Rooms, not just Circle of Hands. Try out something like Fate, a few times. Those are all great games, but the idea, maybe the group will gel around one or the other, or Desolation, or God knows what. That's fine. It's not so much about the specific games, it's about the experience. And that can be kind of tough to explain to people. Tough to kind of, that's a long explanation. That's a lot of talking. So it's been a little bit daunting, as opposed to saying, it's easy. But here I am just crying and whining a little bit. Life is hard. Life is great. But I could say, hey, I'm willing to run 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. And my friend Bobby, like the guy that owns the store, was like, yeah, they're always looking for DMs. They're always looking for GMs, people to run this stuff. But certain games, I don't want to run those certain games. So not sure what I'm going to have to do with as far as this is concerned. So this is kind of my, little crying. But, life is hard. But trying to put together that right group locally. What makes it what gives me hope, but also makes it more frustrating, is I've been able to meet people online, playing games, online in Google Hangouts with people in different time zones. And I'm like, man, we can have some experiences like this, experiences that I like. Not all of us like exactly the same thing, but we're close enough together that we can kind of compromise on what we're doing. We have some great times. I'm thinking, okay, well, great. If there's people like that across the country, across the globe, actually, got to be able to find like 3 in my local area. That'd be nice. So, yeah, that's my little venting and ranting video. How are things going in your neck of the woods? How's your group doing? You have any problems with your group? So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about today.